toward phasing out racially insensitive and problematic aspects of the role-playing game. See, that's the thing I don't like, is if they're doing it just to be racially sensitive, I think it's stupid. If they're doing it because it's a good idea, yeah, because it looks mechanically fun, go for it. It sounds great. Okay, so, yeah. Tasha's Cauldron to Everything is coming out. Now, I'm gonna, before I start really complaining about shit, I'm gonna just kind of show off the things I actually think are pretty cool about it. Expanded subclasses, there's, like, 22 subclasses, apparently, not including 5 reprints that are coming out, and that sounds amazing to me. Just for that, I will buy the book, regardless of some of the other stuff that's kind of like, why, for me. But I'll buy it just for the freaking extra subclasses, I'll be honest. More character options, new feats and features, and customize your character's origin using straightforward rules to modify a character's racial traits. Now, this is the part that's kind of gonna... I'm not bugged by this, but I'm bugged by the reasoning behind it, if that makes sense. But we're gonna move on. I'm gonna show you some other stuff. I'm gonna read these real quick, and then I'll tell you about that. Introducing group patrons, whether you're from the same crime syndicate or working with an ancient dragon. So it's not actually introducing, it's reintroducing from Eberron, just porting them over to where they're more generic, can be more easily kind of used for any group. Which, yeah, that sounds good. I'd like to have a better idea of how my Fighters Guild and my ESO universe is gonna work and shit. So there's that. Like right now, I'm mainly treating them, I think, as kind of the way the Harper's Guild and the Lord's Alliance all kind of are treated. But yeah, spells, artifacts, and magic tattoos. Always happy for magic tattoos because that sounds awesome, and spells. Those, not artifacts, I rarely ever actually use when I'm DMing. They tend to be something that's so big in the campaign that it's like, if my players get it, it's towards the end and right as we're wrapping shit up and things are about to go absolutely insane. You know? When, like, we're getting plus 20 die rolls and shit and things are going insane. Expanded rules options, sidekicks. This one right here, I still haven't gotten the freaking D&D Essentials kit, even though I probably need to now. Just because I didn't know it had a sidekick rules, and I'd actually like those for, just for my, because my party right now is a party of 3, and they could use a sidekick. Supernatural environment, that's neat. Natural hazards, and playing with monsters, so that's I think they kind of explain a lot of that kind of idea, especially in Curse of Strahd, kind of helping, working with bad guys and shit. There was some guidance, I think, somewhere all along that freaking adventure. And a plethora of puzzles. Puzzles are something I actually have a bit of a problem with sometimes. Like, I'll make, generally speaking, my puzzles are fairly simple. I have things like, what are they called? Jesus, my mind's like riddles and shit that I'll freaking spend some time working on, and eventually I'll kind of have them roll dice to basically give them the answer if they can't figure it out fairly fast. But so some more complex puzzles would be nice. I know I have found the puzzles guide in Xanathars to be really good. Where is Xanathars? Here it is, yeah. In Xanathars, it has a really cool system for making traps, and like traps that actually have their own turn. And I'm like, dude, I just basically found a really cool way to make Arcana monsters from Diablo spawn in my game, and I thought that was just magnificent. Every freaking I'm getting ready to freaking have my players fight one of those right now. Actually, they're gonna have a. It's gonna go on a certain point in the turn order, and everything between there and 90 degrees of where it was at, as it turns clockwise, will take like I think a D6 of damage. They'll ramp it up higher and higher as the players get higher level. And yeah, that's kind of how I love that fucking part of that book. But ideas for puzzles. I don't really care much about traps right now because I've got some pretty cool traps right now, but I'd like some ideas for some cool puzzles. Cool riddles, cool construction type traps, and sliding door puzzles, stuff like that. They'd all be kind of useful. But yeah, anyway, so we're going back to the modifying a character's racial traits. My main problem with this is it feels like it's essentially been pushed based off of kind of a racial justice motif, all right? And they're like, for one thing, one of the things that I have read, was it in this one? Removing racial modifiers from negative racial modifiers from certain races, such as the kobolds and orcs. That was actually published in Volo's Guide, this one right here, and in ways I can say, yeah, that's kind of stupid. Negative strength score makes no sense, and if I'm homebrewing it, I'm removing it. Same with a negative intelligence. Actually, in orcs, I kind of like. I'll be honest, but that's just because orcs are dumb, and they're meant to be dumb. Whereas kobolds, negative strength, they're just like the same strength as like halflings, really. Whereas an orc is actually a brainwash from fucking birth. So having a low intelligence, at least as a monster, makes sense. But maybe you weren't. So yeah, okay. If you're a hero, maybe you weren't necessarily freaking raised as an orc. So okay, fine, remove it. But it also has like a lot of other abilities that make up for that. What I think they really should remove, though, on the kobolds is grovel, cower, and beg. It is a useless action that's just really retarded, okay? It's you use a whole action to freaking... If it was a bonus action, I'd say it actually would be kind of cool. It gives advantage to all of your allies on enemies within 10 feet of you, so you have to be within melee range, use up your action, and then freaking stay there so that your allies will have the freaking advantage against your enemies. Really doesn't make sense, way too situational. So if they're going to remove anything from freaking certain races like kobolds, they need to remove that and replace it with something that's cool, or at the very least makes sense, like maybe kobold weapon proficiency. Give them proficiency with slings. No one ever uses a sling. A sling does shit damage, but it's at least a net freaking positive, you know? Honestly, one of the other problems I have with it is, like, so the way I understand this legacy system working, see if this article I think was one of the longer ones I found. Kind of websites. Problematic elements of the game. Racial trait options will be made available in other locations. Okay, so you can get them from other locations, and that's neat, I guess. Anyway, so essentially the way I understand it working is there's going to be a set of rules that you can, like, quick plug and play different traits from different races into your character. Okay? And that's kind of the way I get it. I understand it. So, say for instance, and I'll assume they have different values, both positive and negative. For instance, sunlight sensitivity should definitely be a negative. So by adding that to your character, you might be able to get other stuff, which is a good way to add it in. I actually think, now I'll be honest, I think this is a good mechanical decision. I just don't think it's a good, it just doesn't sound fun to me. It doesn't appeal to me, and it seems like a stupid, and the reasoning behind doing it seems stupid. introducing these rules into Sourcebook makes them accessible and a positive move for Dungeons and Dragons toward phasing out racially insensitive and problematic aspects of the role-playing game. See, that's the thing I don't like, is if they're doing it just to be racially sensitive, I think it's stupid. If they're doing it because it's a good idea, yeah, because it looks mechanically fun, go for it. It sounds great. But honestly, I'm going to wait till I actually see it, how it looks mechanically. Does it seem like something I'd want to use? Is it a new way of making your own homebrew races? Actually, that sounds like a good thing to do. Like, if it's a set of rules that set up a way to build your own homebrew races, using all the different racial abilities and racial ups and downs that you have in the freaking various books, then it sounds great to me. But if it's just to remove racially insensitive and problematic aspects of the role-playing game, then fuck off. You're retarded. I just hope you make it mechanically good.